What is PTO and why do we have time off? We're going to unwrap that topic in today's episode. My name is Z.
And I'm Rich. Yeah, so we are just getting through the thick of the holiday season, right? And a lot of people are taking time off. But are they actually taking time off, doing the things that you would think, maybe spending time with family, friends, all the things that we think of when we're not working or doing, our main vocation?
Yeah, and it's today's topic is really about that because we're in the middle of the holiday season, exactly what you said, right? There's the finishing of Christmas or whatever holiday you're celebrating, now transition to the New Year's. We're actually being mindful of time off. We're recording this before we start taking our purposeful time off. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? As mentor-mentee, first of all, why do we have it in the first place? Are people really taking the time off to do so? Also, we're going to unpack and talk about why I like to use the term that I've been using and spreading around is purposeful time off. Play on the acronym, but a different spin. And then the last one, just some best practices. What are some things that as leaders we can do to take the time off needed, but also support our teammates during their time off and encouraging their time off. Yeah. So speaking of that, typically what happens at the end of the year is everybody's rushing. Like, dude, I have so much time that I have to use up before the end of the year. How are you doing with that? In your bucket, you right there? You're gonna accomplish that mission?
I just scheduled the rest of it yesterday, as a matter of fact. So, unlike my Christmas shopping situation, I am much more prepared on the Christmas end, less prepared on the spending or the actually scheduling of my PTO. So,
yeah,
but yeah, it's all in. So I think I may have a day or two, but that's fine.
And that's exactly it, right? You're not alone, Richard. So many people are in that same boat, right? Where it just becomes a thing. We get so busy in our day, in our year, in our projects, that we just, I'll schedule it later. I'll work, and then before you know it, we're coming in and we're just rushing to use up that time, and not being very purposeful about it. So don't feel bad. You're not alone. But let's talk about some best practices and things that we can do, and we can help our audience and our followers as well to take some good takeaways from that. So,
sure. Yeah. So actually, before we dive into the best practice part, let's talk about a little bit about PTO and, what do you do during your PTO?
Yeah.
How do you usually spend it?
So let's talk about that, right? So every organization, for the most part, I say that for the most part because I hope that's the norm, but I can't speak to all. But for the most part, many organizations, have or give their employees or their teammates time off or a bucket that they can use throughout the year. Some have unlimited, which is interesting, right? Different concepts. Some have a specific amount based on tenure. So it varies depending on organization, business that you run. But the purpose of that, if you think about it, well, why is that the case? Well, think about it. Things have changed over the years. I can imagine there was a time, I can't specifically pinpoint it, but there was a time where that wasn't the norm. You would just work. That's all you did. You make it, you go. If you can't make it, you don't get paid. And eventually over time, that's just kind of become the norm. It's like, yes, you can welcome to the organization. Here's what we're going to pay you. Here's your benefits. And along with that comes, here is the allotted PTO we're going to award you or give you that you can use throughout the year for your leisure, right? Paid time off, which is, again, the team where you're getting paid for this time off. But it's, every company is different, organizations is different. You can, a lot of times even negotiate some of your time off if you go to an organization, like how much is there? Well, this is what whatever. That's a whole different topic. But the purpose is for you to take that time for yourself and use it however you want. But thinking about the evolution and where we're at now, I think it's kind of lost, or we're to see it as, I don't know. Let me throw that at you. What do you think has happened over time with it? Because, we know we have it, it's there, but we lose sight of it. And either some of us don't use it, it's use it or lose it, and it's gone. Some of us and organizations have it and it rolls over. And then I've talked to people that work in those organizations where it rolls over and they have so much. And I'm like, what are you doing with all that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what do you think has happened over time with that, with paid time off or PTO for people?
Yeah. So as you mentioned before, I mean, a lot of it was just, you get into the job, you work, and it's you work or you don't get paid type mentality. And as we've evolved, as we've done studies on healthy habits, benefits of taking time off, really hitting that reset button and recharging a little bit. Go not to jump into our purposeful, right?
Yeah.
But with those things in mind, just producing a better quality of workforce, right? Allowing them to recharge those batteries as opposed to just draining and maybe overexerting, and the many things that come when you don't take that purposeful time off.
100%. Yeah, you just talked about it, right? There was a time of like, hey, yeah, you know what? Everybody works really hard. There is that time that we need to take off for family, for purposeful reasons, for whatever it is. Everybody has their own unique things of what they do with that time off, and it's their time to use. But there's also protocol. There's also certain things that you need to do. Some say, hey, it's my right. I deserve it. I earn it. 100%. It's part of your negotiation. It's part of what you have. But also, there's rules of engagements. We talked about this in the previous episodes, or, we talk about creating clarity, talk about inspiring people. It falls under that commitment too, where, you're inspiring people to take that time off. You're inspiring them by also showing them that you take it off too. That's another thing, lead by example. Then the thought leadership, it's like, hey, we constantly have to be innovating and finding new ways and break out of status quo. That's why you're seeing a lot of variation now of organizations in their time off and how they approach it and how they do it. Is this, hey, we've done this for so many years. Why aren't we, we should try something new. We should do something else, which I love. That's a thought leadership. Like, is this still working for us? Are people really getting energized? Are they really do they know how to use it, what to use, all that stuff? And then the last one is deliver results. Ultimately, we have to deliver results. So we still have a responsibility, right? Just because I have this time off coming up doesn't mean like, dude, I'm not going to make sure that all the things that are still all the moving parts that are happening around me are still functioning when I leave. People know who to get a hold of. I've submitted and done all the work that I needed to leading up to this time off, because there's a lot more to it, right? So that's how deliver results. Ultimately, we got to keep the lights on. Sure. We got to, help our clients. We have to deliver our products or whatever that is. That is a big part of it. So it's all into one, right? It's changed, right? There was a time where, hey, we need it. Our people are getting burned out. Let's go and implement this. Let's give this part of their package or part of their benefit. But then we got to a point where we're just overworking and doing and losing sight of it. Or even worse, there are leaders who are not giving their people that time off or working with them to say, hey, let's find a way for you to take this time. We got your back. And then when I go, you got my back, right? Yeah. All that has to take in place, but it's changed. And now we're in a point where people are now realizing, hey, mental health is a real thing, right? We need to energize. Quick addition or story. We did, I don't know if I brought this up or not. Let me know. Catch me if I did. And it's okay if I did. But we had a panel interview that we did for a local college here, for the seniors in high school that were going into college, right? And myself and several other Insight leaders were invited to be a part of a career panel. The organization is called DACA, okay. And they all rotated, and one of it was us talking about Insight, what we do, the different types of departments that we all work for. The questions that the high school kids were asking really were eye-opening for me, because let me just throw it back to you. Put yourself back in high school, which is probably like a couple years ago.
Hey, I wish.
You just look so young, man. I'm so jealous. But think about when you're back in high school. What kind of questions would you have asked a panel of professionals that were talking to you?
Probably something along the lines of what to expect, inside of the organization. What are, daily tasks, obviously something around, any benefits, structure, why work for the organization. Yeah.
Okay. Pretty standard stuff you want to know, right? Like, how is it to work there? What am I gonna do? What does a day in the life look like? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But some of the questions we received were a little different. Some of them were there, but the questions, one of the gentlemen there said, I see my parents work constantly. They never take time off. They're miserable. They hate their job. Oh. There's really no work-life balance. What is Insight doing, or what are you doing to make, is that normal? and we should expect that, or is we should, or what can we do? What can we do different to not fall in that trap?
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely an eye-opening question. And it's to the point, right? We understand what the young workforce wants now, that work-life
It's a
balance.
different generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Think about like your kids. You have young kids, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Like it's like they're looking at us, right? They're
Yeah.
seeing what we're doing day out and how we come home, how we present ourselves, how we talk about our work.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be off days. I get it, man. There's gonna be difficult days, but
Sure.
they're seeing that, they're watching it, and
Yeah.
they're going to be that next generation coming in to go, hey, I don't want that, right? Like I want to enjoy, I want to re-energize, I want to unplug. I want to enjoy this time, right? To then come back and be ready to go at it again hard. So for me, that was, again, that's eye-opening. I think we're starting to see a shift now, right? I can imagine a lot of the questions and things that people are looking for are these type of questions. So this is why this topic is very topical, because the people are taking the time off, but some are taking it off. They're there with their family, but they're really not there with their family. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes, split in many different directions, either on their phones, electronics, something, but not, purposefully or solely in the moment, right? So
yeah, because it's taking away from those moments that we need. That's important to us.
Right.
That's another great transition now, right? It's like, when you talk to people, nobody's gonna say, or what have you, but still everybody has something that they value, right? And they'll tell you family, nature, exploring, whatever. It's, vacations, going this and that. But when they do finally take that time, there's still something, taking them away from that moment.
Right.
So no, I think it's a great topic. And, hopefully right now you're listening to this, you're enjoying your moment, your time, but take a moment to think about, just because you're there, are you really there with your family, with your friends, with your environment, or does your attention being diverted out and you're not fully there? Right?
Yeah. And sometimes it is really hard to unplug and just, be in the moment, right? We have many things on our mind, and, we run with that. We're with our kids at a game, at a, practice, what have you, and we're sitting thinking about the many things that we still have to do, whether it's home duties, work duties, all of that good stuff, So it's, I can definitely empathize with that crowd, but at the same time, I am one of those that like to fully submerge myself in that moment, right? So if I'm with my kids, I don't want any outside distractions. I put my phone down, it's on do not disturb. I'm here, this is your time, and this is your time, and there's time section for everybody. I wish there was more time, but
dude, time is wish, one of those things, right?
Yeah.
But you just brought, and this is what I love about it being, you're being real right now, because a lot of times, and I talk to people all the time, and I hear it, right? It's like when you hear these authors and books and motivating you and saying this stuff like, ooh, the world's perfect, it's rainbows, it's sunshine. I get it too. Sometimes you're just like, okay, I hear you, but this is reality, man. I have responsibilities. There's pressure, right? I have a lot of things, and that is fact. Your point.
Yeah.
But is that sustainable long term? Right. Is that the way it needs? Is that the way? Do we just give up and say, it's the way it is? So be it. Well, dude, I tell you right now, it's gonna be. Eventually, you're gonna get burnt out.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually, you're gonna be done, right? You're giving all those people in your lives, the roles that you play, bits and pieces of you instead of giving your all, right? Mm-hmm. But then think about it. There are people that are doing this, so it can be done. And this is where we're going to transition perfectly to Purposeful Time Off, is that there are things that you can start doing to start shifting that and turning that upside down. And it's going to take time, to your point. It's not easy.
Yep. It's
always like, oh, it's easier said than done, right? Well, because like anything in life, it's going to take effort. It's going to take, it's going to be work.
Yeah.
We're just talking about purposeful. Pay time off. It's going to be work, but it's going to be work. What's going to pay off in the long run?
Yeah. And speaking of, how is it that you take your time off? How are you purposeful?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you right now, it's also having a partner, my wife, who holds me accountable. So that's a big one. For me, it was interesting. I went through my coaching certification several years ago. And one of the things about my coaching certification is that we actually had to do coaching role plays with other, folks that are going through the certification. And, we would come up with topics and goals and things that we struggle with or we want to improve on. And one of them for me was exactly being, taking time off and not waiting until the last minute, because I knew that was an issue. There was a pattern happening or it'll be at the end of the year. My wife's like, "Oh my gosh, we have this time. We have this time that we need to use. We all just rush it. We just kind of use it up, and then it's gone, right?" I was like, that's hard for us. Like, I want us to have memories. One of the things that I value is, vacations, is memories. I'd rather go somewhere and enjoy an experience rather than give me a gift that is going to sit there and collect dust.
Sure.
So through that coaching, I started discovering, like, dude, I mean, this is important to me. Why am I not putting all the effort and time? So after that session, one of the things that we had to come up with is, like, our goal. And our goal is, hey, I want to be purposeful in the time that I take off and create memories, because time is precious.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, time. Time is precious. It's not going to wait for you. It's not going to sit around. It's going to go. And it's not going to be like, oh, okay, you need some time out. Well, I'm going to stop the clock. Z needs a timeout, right? He's trying to recover. No, it doesn't work that way. So I was like, yeah, dude, life is precious, man. My kids are growing up. They're all dry. I'm like, wow, where did time go? So after that coaching, one of the things that we talk about is our goal. And as I created my goal, I go, hey, I want to get my time off scheduled in advance before the beginning of the year. Put it on the calendar. If I don't know it all yet, right? I don't know. There's that's fine. You have a little bit of that left. Then you have that flexibility, right? Things happen, things come up, but at least the big stuff, like, dude, I know I want to go. I love music. I love music. Dude, we're gonna go check out some music festivals. We love going to different cities and towns. Where do we want to go this year? Well, last year was New York. Never been, first time. This year, okay, where do we want to go this year? So planning that out, put it on the calendar, figuring out what days are the best that work for my team, and then just put it on the calendar, let my team know. They all have visibility to it, so then we can start planning and working in advance. And that's it. That was it, right? Plan at the beginning of the year. And then she said, okay, now we have to have a phrase, some kind of bumper sticker phrase or like a T-shirt phrase that it's very small, short, maybe a few words, six words or less. That's motivational, and it's going to remind you when you start to veer off your course. So I was like, okay, what would be a good T-shirt or bumper sticker? And it was literally that: life is precious, plan it out. And I'm just like, dude, there it is. Every time beginning of the year, like right now, I'm already thinking about it. We already have some dates in advance. So, now that we're doing it a few years, we're already thinking even more ahead. But life is precious, plan it out.
Yeah.
Put it on the calendar. Plan it out, put it in advance. And that's where we're going to go into purposeful time off, is that you have to be purposeful with that. You have to understand, hey, first of all, write down, what is it that energizes me? What do I enjoy that gives me that plugs me into the outlet, right? That gives me that energy back, that when I go back to work, I'm refreshed and I'm ready to give it my all. Yeah. Right. So that's the first step. Yeah. What is it that gives you energy? So I'll show you mine, but what gives you energy? What is it that fuels you when you're taking that time off, that then when you go back in, you feel refreshed?
Yeah, for me, a lot of it is spending time with the kids, really relaxing and just not really worrying about, as I mentioned before, just really submersing myself into whatever I'm doing, right? So if it's playing with the kids, it's hanging out, I'm not focused on, work, what I need to do, what's for dinner, what needs to be picked up around the house. It's really just being in that moment. And I find that probably works the best for me, because then I'm, disconnected to all the other stressors in the world. And then I move on to the next thing. Okay, now it's time for me to cook dinner, or, I won't lie, I don't cook dinner, my wife does, but
I like how you put that in there, man. I was like, we're going to check with your wife on that one.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't, but I mean, it's time for me to help out, because the wife has to cook dinner, so then I'm watching the other little ones and, things like that, so.
But no, I like how you caught yourself. You caught yourself first before you got in trouble, because she's going to use this against you one of these days. You're watching the episode. Hey, remember that episode I read that you said you cooked dinner? When are you going to do that for me?
Exactly. Peanut butter sandwiches. Here we go.
But again, that's it. Being honest with yourself. Like, in a perfect world, what would that look like for me when I do take off? That I feel like I'm really not taking advantage, but really maximizing this time.
Right. Yeah.
To be relaxing, being with family, enjoying those moments, dude. Exactly that case. A lot of parents really treasure those, because again, dude, they go by so fast.
I know. I've blinked and it looks like my little one, my 2-year-old, is gone from being an infant to now a toddler that wants to be completely and totally independent.
Yeah. So and even to add to that layer, it also, what energizes you could also change over time. Like right now you're in that stage. They're young kids. You're enjoying that, right? But like I'm in the stage right now where all my kids are older. You know, they're high school seniors on to college. For me, it's shifted now to more like for what energizes me. Like I said it before, experiences, right? Checking out new places. I've always wanted to travel. I've always wanted to see new places. And since, you know, I've been married with my wife, my current wife. That just sounds weird just saying that. My wife right now is that we've been enjoying that. We enjoy that together, and we get energized. Going somewhere new, being somewhere where there's like a beach, you know, just sitting down, enjoying the fresh air, enjoying a new place that we haven't experienced before. That energizes me. That way, when I go back to work, I have these amazing memories. I also get energized talking about it, right? The first thing that someone comes back from a cool vacation, what is it? Tell me about it.
Exactly. Or show me the pictures, right?
Show me the pictures. Yeah. And speaking of that sure has changed, hasn't it? It's like all on your phone back then it was like, okay, come over. I'm going to share you a slideshow of my vacation. It's like, but show me the pictures. Tell me about it. Recommendations. And you start to build a network of people, a community of people that also enjoy that. So you're sharing. That energizes you, right? So, and it's going to be different for everybody on. It could be other things, right? It could be volunteering.
Oh, yeah.
You know, could be doing so much more, but it's finding that out. What is it that energizes you? Being purposeful, taking that time. So that's the first step. The second part, there is a tool that we use here, which I'm like, you know what? This tool can be used for time off. It's called the Before Action Review. Also known in the military, it comes from, again, military, Thayer, all that. But they call it completed staff work. So the completed staff work is you're taking time to say, hey, before I take action on something, I've taken the time to process of what's the issue or what's the problem I want to solve. What's the background? How did I get here? Like kind of now, like, hey, where am my current state? How do we end up here? What are some possible options that I can take, actions to make this happen? And then finally, what is my final recommendation that I'm gonna do? That's what's called before action review. Before you take action. That tool is perfect. We use that here a lot when it comes to making powerful recommendations before we initiate a new project. The same thing can be used for purposeful time off is, okay, what energizes me? What gives me? So the issue is I'm not being purposeful in my time off. How do we get here? Dude, I wait till last minute. I don't plan it out. Other things take priority, whatever that is, right? Being honest with yourself to give you some historics, right? And going, well, there's really no excuses, right? Or just brings it to life. And the last one is, all right, time for me to start brainstorming. How can I make this a reality? Yeah. Throw everything out there, put 3, 4, 5, 6 different viable options. And then from there, go, you know what? This is realistic. I can definitely get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, when you said before action review, I thought you were going with, how do I take my time off and know that the work still is getting done or everything? So that's where my mind, So that's where my mind went, is like, you know, that's sort of what I think about it in terms of, okay, I know I'm taking all this time off, but how am I going to set my, you know, group up to be successful while I'm out, or not have to cover a lot of legwork while, you know, and stretch themselves knowing that I'm, you know, I have this time off. So.
And that's part of it too, right? You also talk about that. Well, it's because either, you know, we're understaffed, we're overworked, we have a lot of projects. Well, I get it. That's reality. But okay, now that we know this, what can we do with what we have? Yep. You know, how can we make a plan that, you know what, each of us can take that time off in the team where it's not impacting the business, where they can truly take that time off? What are the rules of engagements, right? Like, dude, we're going to take this time off, take it off. Yeah. But also understanding that there are, and that's another conversation too, there are going to be certain things that you're saying these are non-negotiables though. Like if it's around these one or two things that happen, reach out to me. But if not, I trust you. Well, back to that, your favorite word, trust. I trust that you can take care of it. You know what to do. I've trained you. I developed you. We talked about it. I'm sure that you'll make the right call. And when I come back, let's say it was off or whatever, we can fix it and we can adjust and pivot. Yeah. But there are the non-negotiables. We're saying, dude, you know,
if this fire comes up, this specific fire comes up, please contact me.
But being very specific, right? Like everything's gonna be a fire if we let it be, right? But it's like, what are the 1 or 2 or 3 things that if they have, dude, let me know. And even then, like, let me know. I'll hear it out, and then I'll have you make that call, right? Yeah. And then get back to where I'm enjoying my time. Yep. Right. That just has to happen, right? But again, nobody talks about those things. Right. Or to your point, the sky's falling. every time, right? And you're just getting called, and you're just like feel like they can't, and then it's like I don't trust my team that they can handle it, so I need to be a part of it the whole time.
Yeah. Or, when you get contacted that many times, it's like, well, I took the time off, but then I come back and I feel like I didn't take any time off type situation. Yeah. So it's like, you definitely want to be purposeful when you're taking that time off. Spend it. What rejuvenates you? What gets you motivated? What's going to put you in a better spot to get back to work,
Yeah,
So,
exactly, man. Yeah, because that's the other thing, right? The last thing you do is you're taking this time off, but the whole time you're worried about it. And when you get back, you're just like stressed out even more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, what do I, and this is why I love the before action review. Before I take this time off, what are some things that need to be done that I can enjoy this time off?
Yep.
Right. So now talk about best practices, right? As leaders, we need to lead by example. So I know it's easier said than done. I talk to leaders all the time. It's hard for me to stay unplugged. It's hard for me to do that. I hear you. It is hard, but you have to make a way to make it to make it happen. And if not, make those steps, make those stripes, because if you continue this pattern, if you continue this notion, nobody's going to want to take your role, right? Yep. The next generation is looking at it going, dude, I don't want to be a grown-up.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
I don't want to have that. I don't want to work there. I don't want to work for that organization. I don't want to do that. So we need to start setting the tone and the pace and start figuring this out. And the way you figure it out is being purposeful, right? Figuring out the play, just like everything else that we do, right? We do it every day. Hey, we have a problem. All right, what's the problem? What's the issue? What do we know? What's the reality right now? Perfect. Okay, how do we get here? All right, we got here for this reason. Okay, perfect. What are some viable options? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is the path we're going to take. Hey, we do that when it comes to problem solving before taking action. We can do that for our time off too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that before action review kind of goes hand in hand with purposeful, right? You're doing that for a purpose. So it just, another element to layer on. So yeah.
Isn't it interesting though that we're really good at our job as leaders. We're really good at problem solving and at fighting fires. Mm-hmm. But the real true leaders, and I think we talked about that, are the ones that are fireproofers, right? That they can prevent these fires from even escalating. That's when you're that next level of leadership. Yep. Now do that with your time off, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Do that and teach your team that. Teach them these best practices, have these conversations so they can also enjoy this time off. And that way it's, they come back and they're more energized. They have better ideas. They contribute more. And guess what? Now that, now they're like, okay, there's something different about this leader, this organization, this team that, dude, I can't, he always say, I go somewhere else. I'm like, dude, I miss that because I don't have that here anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It just sets us up for a better workforce, right? That recharge, that rejuvenation, you come back and you're like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get back to work. So yeah,
man, that's excellent. And again, and then think about this too, as a leader also taking ownership. Let's say you have a teammate who takes off and things were not in line or there's things that were missed or whatever. It's an opportunity for a coaching opportunity. Hey, this, when you took off, great. I'm glad you took this time off. But here's some things that we can that basically happen or that we need to work through for next time.
Yep.
Right? Instead of you totally left us out, to vent for ourselves. It was horrible. It's like now you're making them feel bad, and they're gonna think, well, I'm never gonna take time off again because everything went to everything went to the apocalypse. But more than dude, okay, I'm glad you got that. Excellent. Let's talk about let's be clear. Right, and that's all the tools that we've been talking about. Let's create clarity here when we take time off. This is what took place. Did not set us up for success. What can we do different next time? So you can take that time off, but also we're set up because then guess what? When I take time off, I want to do the same for you. I don't want to put you in a bad spot. So those are some of the best practices. And dude, I mean, like I said, every time we can go on and on, but yeah, those are some big takeaways.
Cool. Yeah. So today we talked about what paid time off is, why you should make it purposeful, and what are some, key takeaways and how to best utilize your paid time off. What are some key strategies on taking time off. Is there anything to add with that?
No. Again, just want to acknowledge, thank you for all those who, again, follow us and subscribe to us. We've had a few comments that come into our inbox. So just so you know, we definitely see those. We're going to actually take note of some of those recommendations that you put in there, some of the suggestions. Keep them coming so we can add them for our future episodes. And just again, happy holidays, happy New Year's to all of you. We look forward to continue this season strong and close out strong.
Yep, absolutely. Follow us on all of our social media channels, and be sure to turn on your notifications, like, subscribe, and please keep those comments coming.